No, stay back!
What's going on, everybody? My name's Tim. I am an entrepreneur, and as hobbies, I like to cook and garden. So this is the channel if you like gardening tips, cooking, grilling, all that stuff, as well as entrepreneur and survivor skills for life. This is the channel for you to follow. But today I want to talk about, man, we've been getting some crazy weather. The world keeps going crazier and crazier. I want to talk about what I'm learning to grow in case shit hits the fan and society goes down. What would be my crops that I want to know how to grow to make sure that I'm surviving? The first one I actually don't have in the garden. We'll go over to the garden really in a second here. But the first one I don't have in the garden. But the first one is going to be some kind of grain that we could turn into bread. So wheat would most likely be it. We can grow winter wheat. We can grow tons of different kinds here. Illinois is actually a pretty good place to grow wheat. It grows pretty easy. It's a grass. It grows pretty easy. The hard part's processing, and that's something I still have to learn. I have not ever processed wheat to make it into a grain, to make it into flour. So that'd be a fun project probably for next summer, maybe we'll do. So that's number one. Let's go over to the garden, and I'll tell you about number two. All right, we're over in the garden. This is, oh, what is on there? Storm's blowing everything over. But this is a winter squash. This is an acorn squash, or sorry, no, this plant here is buttercup squash. And the thing about winter squash is it stores really well. So we can grow it and grow pretty big pieces of fruit, and they will store over winter. And that's something that's huge. If we're trying to survive, it's really easy to eat in the summer. You can grow stuff that you can eat in the summer. But things like spaghetti squash, acorn squash, buttercup squash like this will store really well. So growing these, right now I'm growing it in my Three Sister garden, which is also with corn and some beans that are about to come up. Got one doing pretty good with corn, just on a off note here. But the storms hit it pretty hard. So I do have some corn that's got some things going on with it from the storm, but that's off topic. Again, here's my other squash plant, and these are things that are going to help us in the long run because they will store very well. Speaking of survival, this wasn't planned for part of the video, but since he's sitting here, unfortunately capturing these guys and letting them feeding them and letting them produce may be a good form of protein. So I might have to learn how to cook rabbit at some point if the apocalypse is ever happening. But that's not what I was actually trying to show you guys. So back to the veggies. All right, the next one on the list are dry beans. Pinto beans, in this case, are what I'm growing here to dry them and store them. This is something that I want to learn how to do, because again, it can store over winter and it is a high source of protein, which is good for survival. So this is something that I would highly recommend learning to grow, learning to store if you are concerned about something going on in the world and causing havoc and causing society, and causing groceries to either get completely out of control or not exist at all. So something that's worth having and knowing how to grow in case there's some kind of issue. All right, number 4 on the list is going to be potatoes. Again, these guys can store for a very long time and provide a lot of calories. So you can get these guys going and have food for the whole winter if you grow enough. So this is something that I find very important to learn to grow. Okay, my number 5 crop I got here. This is something that's unique. These are tobacco plants, and here's my opinion on this. If things go really crazy, having tobacco as medicine, as something to trade with, because I think that people that have other skills are going to be willing to work or do things to trade for things like tobacco that they don't have that they're used to having. So I think growing something like this is super important because it's going to give you trade value. So that's my 5 crops that I want to learn how to grow. I'm doing it for fun right now. I'm obviously saving some money on groceries, but probably not enough to pay for the things that I had to build this year to learn to garden. But those are the 5 things that I'm learning to grow. 4 right now, and 1 that I want to learn in the future, just in case shit hits the fan. That will be okay.